Hi everybody, this is Maria Clark and welcome to my studio. Today I have a fun animal themed project for you. This is part of the YouTube Creative Arts collaboration group that I belong to, and there are about 300 or so artists that are participating in this art group. And we have a monthly theme where we all develop videos around the theme and post them on the same days. Today it'll be the 20th through the 22nd, and the hashtag on YouTube is hashtag #PaugustArt. And you can see the hashtag there on my opening credits. I hope you take a look at my video and all the other artists that are sharing their work with you during this collaboration. Thanks so much, and let's get started. To make beads for this necklace, I'm using a Doris embossing folder, and it's a birdcage design. There are 5 different designs, and this embossing folder is kind of hard to see here, but there's an in and an outside. I'm using the inside to make a high relief. This is the cut pattern. We'll have focal and 3 side pieces. You'll cut 1 focal and 2 each of the side pieces. I have silver Primo clay here that I've misted with some water, and I put the embossing folder down, and I'll use the edge of my acrylic roller to really put some good pressure on this. This is rolled out on the number 2 setting of my Atlas pasta machine. Okay, now we're going to start cutting, and I'm just going to take off a bunch of the excess clay, and I'm going to put this on a glass tile. You could use a ceramic tile too. You just want something that has a nice grip to it, and make sure that it's pretty well adhered so that it makes it a little bit easier for you to cut. And then I'm just going to take my craft knife and I'm going to follow along the lines. It's fairly easy to do. I don't use any guides, as you can see. Just using my craft blade. I am going fairly slowly though, so that I can make sure that I'm catching the lines of the design. And I'll just continue to use my craft blade going around the design. You'll notice that I'm coming up on one of the design's elements, which is a finial at the top of this birdcage, and I'm not going to use that because I actually don't think it'll hold up with wear, since I'm going to be using this as a necklace. So I'm going to pull that finial off and remove the excess clay. I'll do any kind of cleanup that I need to, cleaning up the edges, and I'll cut all of the pieces per the cut guide. Once you have all of your pieces cut, you have the choice of putting your holes in before you cure it. You can just use a needle tool to poke your holes. I tend to do mine after I've cured it because I like to drill them, but you have an option here. And we'll go ahead and get the pieces in the oven for 50 minutes at the manufacturer's recommended temperature. Once these are out of the oven, I'm going to use a black heavy body paint and a fairly stiff brush, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get that paint in all of the cracks and crevices. Once I have all of my pieces painted, I'll cure it for 10 minutes at the manufacturer's instructions, just to heat set the paint. All of my pieces are out of the oven and they're cooled off, and I'm using 2 grits of sandpaper so that I can get the see the relief. So I'm using a 240 grit sandpaper here to just get most of the paint off, and you see I rinse it every now and again. I love the way it just reveals the pattern and really highlights the piece, makes it a little bit more dramatic. I'll use the 240 sandpaper, get everything off, and then I'll use the 400 just to polish it up a little bit. Here is the hole placement guide, the drilling guide. I'm going to go ahead and get my pieces, and I use a little handheld electric Dremel to get my holes drilled in. And one thing I want to mention is you don't want to get your holes too close to the edge because the clay will break. So get your holes in, use the placement guide, and I think you'll be good. So I've got all of my pieces done here, and my holes are in, and it's ready to start designing. I've determined that I'm going to use a little dangle in between each one of the birdcage beads, so I've got 3 beads here. These are briolets, and there are 2 sizes, a large one and a small one. And I'm using a 1.5 millimeter looping plier. This is something I'm just sort of starting to use. So we'll thread a bead, and then we'll thread the bead cap, and you push the eye pin or head pin through the looping plier and just squeeze it, and it creates the loop and cuts the excess for you. So I will make all 3 dangles, and I'll use 3 dangles for each one of the components in between each of the birdcage beads and on it, and again then at the end. And I'll show you a little bit later how to put those three components together. But we'll go ahead and make these up and come back and start to finish up. All right, I got everything together here, and I'm just going to sort of design the piece by laying out the pieces, the various beads. And you can just play around with this however you like and see what pattern emerges and what you might like to try out. So this is the design I've settled on. I think this is cute. And here are my dangle components, and I'll just place those in between each of my beads so I can get a sense of what that looks like, and the scale and the length. So I'll just get those in there. I think it's coming together pretty nicely. I'm liking the way that it looks. So let me show you how to put these together. I use two larger jump rings and a small one, and then I've got the three dangles that we made a little. And what I'll do is start to thread the three jump rings together. So it's a large jump ring, the small one, and then a large one, and that makes your three pieces. Each one of these, for the dangles, we'll actually thread those onto the smaller jump ring, the middle one, and I thread the small bead, the larger one, and then finish with the small one and close everything up, and I have the components that go in between each of these beads and on the end. So that's how that comes together. Now it's just a matter of taking all of these pieces and putting them together. So I'll just do that. One thing I wanted to mention is that notice when you're putting these components, the dangle components in between the beads, that you can get those twisted up. So be a little bit careful. It's hard to show you on camera, but you'll see it if there's a certain way you want to thread these on to make sure that it lays flat or lays straight rather. So I will go ahead and put all of these on. This will take a little bit of time, so I'll go on camera to finish this up. Okay, I'm back, and I'm really just kind of tidying up a little bit, just making sure that my jump rings are properly closed. And then I'll start to put the rest of the pieces together. So this is actually this main piece is about 11 inches, the way I've put it together. So I want an 18-inch necklace. I need 7 inches of chain, and then of course I'll have a clasp. So I will go ahead and take a length of chain and cut off 3.5 inches for one side and attach it to the jump ring on the end. And then I will add another jump ring and start to put the toggle on. So there's the one jump ring, and then there's the ring for the toggle clasp, and we'll close that up. And here's the other jump ring for the other side. And finish it off with the last piece of the toggle and close the jump ring. Great. So now we can see how it looks, and we'll close up the toggle clasp and lay the piece out, and that's our finished piece. I think it turned out really great, and I hope you enjoyed this project. It was a fun animal-themed project, and as always, I appreciate you joining me here in my studio. Take care.